Comes forward.
It must be. I just had to be mine.
They will do it.
He knows what's going on.
Can't believe
It is.
You know what Teresa does on her today? Not for a sale. Yeah.
As far as I know, he's
Alright. Has that been a year ago? When did we
I'm
put
sorry.
in the electronic agenda? When did
Yeah,
we
about
get
a year
these?
ago, yeah. Because we budgeted this year for the laptops and about a year ago. We've had it for about a year.
Yeah. I'm sure it's working.
I'm gonna try this.
Oh, it's a good idea. Restart it. It's probably the.
That's why I didn't have like this in last week. Because I had restarted the Dropbox stuff.
Teresa,
And I got
what time
it.
you got?
You know why your computers don't download stuff?
I was like, oh, I have to do that.
You don't have enough bandwidth.
Clock says 7, but the computer says 6:55, so.
Mine says,
What's
No,
your-
mine says 7.
mine says 6:58.
Mine says 7.
Just call it.
Go check.
Go by that.
All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Teresa, you want to take roll call?
Okay, Brenneman,
Here.
Kill,
Here.
Monahan,
Here.
Johnson,
Here,
Nelson,
Here.
Jones,
Here.
and Mayor Manning will be arriving late.
All right, before we get going, we're gonna skip over Matt Jones' sports complex update. He's not here, he's at the same program that Jared was at. So with that note, I would be looking for an approval or a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved minutes of the previous meeting, 11/7.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved bills submitted for payment, they were in your packet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Anybody have any questions other than me? All right, I'll start. Craig, why did we buy a tennis net?
Because that's what the majority of you guys wanted to get a tennis net back up.
We did?
Yes, we
I thought the majority of us wanted the tennis courts to go away.
No, we looked at, you guys had decided that, well, instead of resurfacing it, we will put the nets back up, see if it gets used over this next summer and spring, and then readdress it again this fall to see if it gets used, if we want to resurface it, or what we want to do with it.
I hope we got a good deal on that going into the fall. And the only other question I had, Craig, was about the work that was done on the truck, the Chevy.
Okay.
577 for the heads, which is understandable. 421 for the coils plug kit, which is understandable. But then I go down and it says parts for the 03 Chevy repairs, $1,047.
That would have been injectors, a head kit or gasket kit for heads.
Yeah,
Trying to think what else.
that's just the rest of the top end.
Yep.
So
Injectors,
what did that come to? About $2,000?
I didn't add it up, but I'm gonna say
Yeah.
probably pretty close there.
Probably pretty close to. Okay. Oh, I think that's all I had.
And we did all the work ourselves on it.
Yeah.
so.
Anybody else got any questions about the bills?
I had one, but it's escaping me, so it must not be too.
What was the coupler for the plow that wasn't included when you
when they quoted that?
We had the coupler on it, for the hydraulics, for the, two-way directional plow on it, and then also for the grapples. When you take that coupler off, we wanted to have another dead one to slip onto it so you weren't getting dirt and
Oh,
stuff.
I see, okay, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna call the vote individually, and so it's, Money, Harv,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
and I guess. The bill. Public comments, non-agenda items, is there anybody here that wishes to speak under public comments? All right. Ordinances, right on time, 7:05 public hearing, liquor license renewal. We can do them one at a time. I would suggest we blanket and do them all at the same time with one motion, but whatever you guys want to do.
And just for the sake of, I think it was 1 year, any violations in the last year?
No, then we had some of the previous years, but
Right.
this year,
This year would be
I
clean.
didn't get notified of any violations.
I make a motion to approve the liquor license for essentially 2019, all included.
Second?
Anybody have any questions?
Anything we need to know?
Like I said, I didn't get any reports of any violations or anything. They paid all their fees to Karen, and, everything should be good to go.
All right. Nelson,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Travis. Mark?
Yes.
Arden?
Yep.
And I am a yes. Second reading of ordinance 659, amend city fines and fees. This is, same as was presented at the last meeting, getting
Yep.
our fee and fine structure in line with 2018.
Yep, no changes since first reading, so same thing.
So, I would entertain a motion for that.
Motion to approve ordinance 659.
Second.
Is there any questions or any changes that somebody would like to amend that ordinance?
The big one was water or sewer hookup, right?
That is the one big change that we had, yes, that was under recommendation of planning and zoning. We went from the $500 hookup fees to $750 each.
Yeah.
All right, any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? First reading ordinance 660, amend city dynamic braking ordinance.
Motion to approve. Second.
The only comment I have on this is the way I read this, in order for the city to get their free signs, I think we're actually gonna be taking a step backwards. Because if the sign, well, it really doesn't matter what the sign says, the ordinance is literally gonna say, it might as well say dynamic engine braking is okay, as long as you muffle it. And the dynamic engine braking you hear coming off the interstate, I would bet you those guys can lift the hood and show you what is muffled exhaust. So, if that's what you guys want to do, that's fine.
And
But keep in mind, it's gonna get noisier in this town. For
What do
free.
you say that, Mark?
Huh?
I mean, what's the difference between you pass this versus now?
Right now, if you come into town and you hear any engine brake, period,
Right?
that's against the ordinance, right now.
Okay.
This ordinance is about to be changed to read any unmuffled. So it's just like anything else, they sell a can that looks a lot like a muffler, but it's really just a can. But in my mind, that's muffler, so I can bring my truck through town and Jake brake the ever-loving bejesus out of it and make all kinds of noise and get everybody's attention. And if I get pulled over, I will literally lift the hood and show somebody the quote-unquote can,
Right.
and I'm perfectly legal.
So
Well, one
you,
thing-
and you would know that, and so you do this every day. Are you privy to that? So when you pull into a town, are you looking for signs? Are you?
Absolutely.
I mean, you actually educate yourself to the point
Absolutely.
of
Nobody that drives a truck wants to get pulled over and waste time.
Right, right.
So,
Well, one
but
thing
I'll
to
tell you,
know-
if I see a sign that says unmuffled dynamic engine braking,
Yeah.
I'll be dynamic engine braking the entire length of that time.
But one thing to know, when our signs do wear out and need replacing, we can't put any sign back up, the
Oh,
DOT
really?
won't let us.
This is a
So I
national
did call
standard.
it, yeah, this is,
Really?
so you
Well-
asked about that earlier, and I did call and ask them, so we could keep what we have there now, and it could all be unmuffled, but unless we change this, once those signs are, you know,
You
need to
can't
be
add anything
replaced,
back up.
they won't let us put anything back
Point
up.
where it's unreadable.
Right, yeah,
That-
yeah,
that-
so I mean,
point is-
we can stay status quo for a while or whatnot, but.
See, but I wonder if the signs are gonna say unmuffled. I almost bet they're not gonna say that.
They had the wording of it in there, what they're
Did they?
supposed to say.
Yes, exactly
They're
the,
gonna
what
say
I had
unmuffled.
in red, which is this newer, it says unmuffled dynamic, yeah.
It's gonna get a lot louder.
So my
So-
I don't know.
thought on that is, does the state set a decibel level?
I'm sure they do, but how you gonna,
We have no way to.
Well,
We have an
same way if I
ordinance
take
that
a, take a stone bill and I take a factory can off of it, and I put an aftermarket can on it, and it exceeds the decibel level, it's still muffled.
I don't think we've ever gave a ticket for jake breaking,
That's a-
and I hear it all the time.
You have to have somebody consistently coming into town, irritating somebody consistently in order for this to try to get.
that'll be me after second
Like I
reading.
said, and this will be a national standard throughout the United States. So that's what it's gonna be, so.
You
So let's
guys,
just play ball. We couldn't even put a sign on our property in our right of way?
well, like 38 State Highway, the Westerns are
We don't have
county
either one of those right
highway.
of ways.
Colton, it's county highway, yeah, along their highways.
The state's
yeah.
got their own
Huh.
jurisdiction on that, and that's what,
Alright, well, let's pass it and play ball, see how loud it gets in town.
Yeah, that's the issue, they kind of got us.
Alright, so we had a motion and a second, right? Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
and just to add on that, Mark, the reason why they went this way is because jake brakes are considered a safety device on your vehicle, on your trucks. So that's why they changed this standards.
But I'm guessing that in most towns, the speed limit's probably 30, 35. And if you need to use a dynamic engine brake at 35, you're really not doing a good job. All right, listen for me next month. You're gonna hear it. First reading ordinance 661, amend city's alcohol beverage ordinance. Teresa, you wanna touch on that?
Well, we talked about this one last time too. The state had changed a lot of liquor laws, and the things in our ordinance that weren't consistent with the state were the hours of business. You know, state used to prohibit, you know, selling on Christmas and Memorial Day. Now you can sell every day, you know, from 7 AM to 2 AM the next day. And so, the same thing then with, people serving under 21. If you're 18 to 20, as long as there's a 21-year-old on premise, or if it's like a restaurant where, you know, your revenue, the majority of revenue is not coming from liquor sales, an 18 to 20-year-old can sell. So like grocery stores, you know, we can have a younger person selling it without having that 21-year-old to come and check them out. So this is just following the state standards. We kind of talked about it'd be good to stay consistent with the state so it's not confusing for establishment owners and law enforcement.
Okay. Anybody wanna make that motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 2018-6, transfer pool funds to general fund. I'm sure you're all aware that the swimming pool dissolved their nonprofit status, so that is no longer an entity. So this literally just transfers the remaining balance in their account back to the general fund.
Yep, exactly.
Motion approved, resolution 2018-6.
Second.
Any discussion? Scott?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Travis?
Yes.
Mark?
Yep.
Artie?
Yep.
And I'm a yes. 2018-7, transfer special assessment funds to general funds. This is
This is just kind of clearing our books too. We had a special assessment fund set up when we did the 2006, 2007 street project. So people that had assessments on the property, the money that came in, when they paid it with their taxes, those that went on the 10-year, payment plan, when that money came in, it went into this fund, and then that money was used to pay our, basically our loan payments. And so we got that loan paid off last year. We had one payment come in this year, so there is a little bit of money, that $418 in this fund that basically, since the street project's all done, we paid off the loan, we need to dissolve this fund and take that money and just put it in the general.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2018-7.
Second.
Any further discussion? Yes, Jeff.
Yes.
Art.
Yes.
Mark.
Yep.
Kevin.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Under visitors, I believe you're Ben.
Yes.
Would, you got a hot date tonight you need to get to, or have you had a meeting with Mayor Minnick about this?
No.
Would it be all right if I slide you back until he gets there? Because I think he needs to, could make sense that the mayor be in on this,
Sure.
this pitch you're gonna get, that's all right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna skip over, Matt's not here either, so we're gonna go into reports. Chief, you ready?
Good evening, councilors. Give you a quick recap of October, another busy month for us. We had 35 total calls in October, 18 of them within Hartford city limits. And amongst those 35 calls, we had 2 structure fires within Hartford, one at the elevator and one at the trailer court on the north side of town, and then we had a structure fire mutual aid over to Humboldt at that next. October, training-wise fire, we worked on extrication training along with dealing with trauma patients in a vehicle accident. EMS training, we trained on our Life Pack 15, some additional training in there. Along with that, we had about 12 people attending state EMS conference in Sioux Falls at the end of October, where they each received 20 hours of continuing education. November training, we'll be down at the Sioux Falls Fire Training Complex, working on an SCBA confidence course on firefighter entrapment situations. EMS, we had training on medical emergencies. So that's what we've been doing over the last month here.
Is that training facility in Sioux Falls is poorly, in as poor of shape as we're led to believe?
The burn tower is unusable. Most areas you can't even go in at this point. The facility we'll be training in is an older structure, single story, meant to replicate a house. And everything I've been told that's getting in real poor condition also. Facilities have trained a lot of firefighters through the years, not only just Sioux Falls, but over the last 10 years, really, Sioux Falls has opened it up for use to the county with the assistance of Sioux Falls staff. So it's been a real asset for us. So, hopefully they can continue moving forward and get an updated facility, which we've already been told will be usable by neighboring departments.
Anybody have any questions for Chief? All right, thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Chamber Economic Development, Jesse, anything in your report that you want to touch on?
Couple items I want to touch on here for October. It's a fairly light report. I was out of the office for about half a month, but something that was in, we worked on a couple of things. We had a record-breaking turnout for the Halloween event. We ran out of food around 6:15 p.m., which was a great sign of we're getting the word out there. If you ever see anybody in those Mickey Minnie Mouse costumes, you gotta respect them because we did that for 2 hours and it was painful.
It was hot here.
It was warm in there too. My neck hasn't been the same. I'm actually gonna file workers' comp, I think, on some of the back issues I have after wearing that. But
What's record setting?
we thought we'd have 300 meals and we ran out of 300 meals about 45 minutes.
What day
earlier.
did you come off vacation?
The 20.
And what day did you get in the Mickey Mouse costume?
31st. I came back the 22nd. It was in the costume of the
And you
31st.
think that's worked out?
a joke.
Hazard pay?
Yeah, hazard pay, I like that a lot. New member, Modest Designs and Boutique, they opened their business as well this week. Newest tenant downtown is the boutique. And there's also a new service club starting in Hartford. I think it's an important note to mention the Optimist International Club. We're opening a Hartford chapter. The kickoff meeting is Monday, November 26th. Foundation-wise, great couple of weeks. The Development Foundation, our big event was the press release we put together for Buffalo Ridge Brewing. Kello, KDLT, and Sioux Falls Business reported on the story. Lots of great earned media from that event, and they had a wonderful turnout for their grand opening in November. Any questions?
I do. Under the Development Corporation, conducted a visit with the NAISF broker. I'm not exactly sure what that means.
So, it would be a commercial broker with NAA Sioux Falls, a commercial real estate firm.
Okay.
You want to know more about Hartford, what's happening here. If you drive around town, most of the commercial real estate that's listed is under NAI Sioux Falls. He's not the listing agent, but he wants to know more about those properties and some opportunities that there might be in the Hartford area.
Gotcha.
He's looking for leads for me.
Right, so does this guy have a connection to site surveyors and all that kind of stuff?
So that would be more on the industrial economic development side of things. That's more of a national topic with site selectors. This would be more of a commercial broker. So think of like a commercial real estate broker out of Sioux Falls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
What's the projection for the forest?
What was that?
What are the downtown forest, what's the projected opening for that? Is that-
Valentine's Day week.
Oh, it's that far out.
For her retail, for her big retail. She wants to put it far out. She hopes to have an announcement ready, with press releases written, everything's ready to go. We just need to get a signed lease
Sure.
confirmed. If you look at the window in the MUM building, there's already an opening soon sign there in that south unit.
Yeah.
And it has her name and her business name there, and all of her stuff. She's transferred over to that address, but before we go public, they need to do some work in that space as well. So she hopes to have things ready to go before and during Valentine's Day.
Anybody else got any questions for Justin? All right, thank
Did you happen to hear how many people Saturday they had come to town?
They didn't tell me a number, they didn't know any people, but they had over 500 tickets, if that helps, for Saturday grand opening, closed tickets. So that could mean 1,500, that could mean 2,000, that could mean 1,000, but they were pleasantly surprised about their performance.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
Mitch, anything in your report you wanna touch on?
No, not
in your report?
not especially. I mean, projects quieted down, things are going well out there, and we're working on Landmark Avenue in the office, getting those plans ready.
There's no pay request,
No pay requests or anything.
Anybody have any questions for Stockwell? Pardon?
Are we gonna finish Franken Trails? Is that gonna be wiped off here pretty soon?
Yeah, we've been working through the DOT, just all their approvals that they had, and there's just a couple that are hanging out there.
That's funny, I just caught that, but you think I'm always gonna ask a question.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I nailed it.
You nailed it.
I mean, everything's done on our end with that, our end is just, they just gotta close it out.
Anybody else have any questions?
When the Drive to Revive downtown committee was active, did they ever have Stockwell design and engineer work
Downtown.
for downtown?
Anything else? Craig, anything in your report you wanna touch on that?
Just a couple things. Basically, Jeff's gonna have a sweeper out tomorrow, finish up a bunch of sweeping. We did get the wing on the maintainer. Christmas tree's got the lights on it for hometown Christmas. The main thing is the slurry seal project. We had a meeting in Sioux Falls, and in the weather stipulations now is that they wanna have at least 20,000 square yards of slurry seal put down in their town in order to be on with them, partner with Sioux Falls. We are gonna be shy this year, because we're just doing, we'll be close, because I'll probably do those 2 cul-de-sacs. Basically, we just need to pick up some, there's a few streets that we could easily put an extra layer on, just to kind of get the drainage better on them. But we're gonna be, our budget's gonna be low, I mean, because I had 45 in budget, and we're gonna probably need another 10 to 15,000. It's just something I need, basically, not a dollar amount approval, but just approval to do 20,000, or up to close to 20,000 square yards. Because this is all gonna be put together in December, because they're gonna go out for bids in January this year, end of January, February, something like that.
We have 45,000 budgeted.
Yep.
You want a motion to approve up to 20,000 square yards additional?
No, we're about 16,000 right now, we're like 15,800 or something like that, but
So
then I
you don't
still
wanna do
like.
it on a dollar amount, you wanna do it on a square
Yeah,
yard?
because we don't have no idea what the
Yeah.
dollar amount's gonna be,
Oh,
just so I get approval to do up to that amount, so that we can, and he said as long as we're close, he said we'll be all right.
And what kind of dollar amount you think that's gonna be?
I think it's gonna be an additional 10 to 15,000.
So would you go with, is it Bumblebee, right?
Well, that's all, this is, slurry seal, so it's either gonna be like Intermountain, and Missouri Petroleum were the 2 main ones that bid on it, there's another place in Minnesota. So this is when they put the,
I know the stories that we
Okay.
have, yeah, so.
so, and it all
I got
depends on who gets the awards, gets the bid awarded to them. This
You need
is,
a motion for that, Teresa?
Yeah, I
Should.
would, so then we can, since it's above budget amount.
And then you'll get three bids?
the Sioux Falls handles all
Sioux
that,
Falls.
yeah.
Well, I thought we weren't gonna be in the Sioux Falls umbrella. What am I
Well,
misunderstanding?
we will be if we can get up to that 50.
Oh, up to 20, that's right.
20,000, yeah.
Okay, you said that.
Yep.
Okay.
And this will be the only year we're gonna have this issue, because after this, we'll have Nicholson Road, which is gonna push us over that, and then we'll start the rotation again, so this was kind of our down year. We just decided to do Western because we know that we're gonna be tearing it up, but we wanna make sure we can make it to 5 years, or 7 years, or whatever it's gonna take. So this will be our light year anyway, so, and I can find enough areas that I'd like to just have touched up again.
Make a motion to approve up to 20,000 square yards of slurry seal for fiscal year 2019.
Second.
Any more discussion?
The only thing is, it might be 20,200 or something, because they will do a section, but I'll try to keep it right at that. Possible, it's hard to stop right in the middle of a road or something like that, so.
Say not to exceed 20.
21, 22, something like that, that's what
You literally just said 20.
that's what
And then
we
he
have to
makes
have,
the motion.
that's what we have to have for Sioux Falls, but it's gonna be hard
You
for me
wanna
to come
amend
up
your
with
motion,
exactly
Travis?
20,000.
He's like, well, he said that if we're close, they're gonna give it to us.
I know, but I'll try
Just
to
another
stay
10%.
under, I'll try to stay under the 20,000, but if I can't stop in the middle of the street really.
Move to amend my motion. Let me think, Larry just gave me a course on this last week. Move to amend my motion, change that up to 22,000 square yards.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Do you wanna change the number again? Craig?
No, we're good. I'm gonna try
I
to
was
stay.
waiting for that to come too.
All right. Artie?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Travis?
Yes.
Scott?
Yeah.
Mark?
Yep.
And I'm a yes. All right. Anything else, Craig?
That is it, unless you guys got any questions for me.
I got, you wanna go first, or you want me to go ahead? Okay, our street down here on that Oaks development, when do we take that?
That will be a private drive, so we will not be taking it over.
Well, I thought,
The water main and the sewer main are up to our standards. The road itself is gonna be a private road, so they'll maintain that themselves and plow it themselves.
do we have to plow any of it?
Nope,
None.
none of it. It's just like,
I thought we had to take.
we've got the same thing, Freedom Place?
Yeah,
Yeah, Freedom Place is the same way up over in Crestman's Edition. We
Okay.
don't do their road either.
I know we talked about that, and I thought it was the other way.
ones too.
Yeah,
Okay.
Crestman's the
There's
other.
that street side, Happy Hearts.
Yep,
Is that what
Yeah.
development?
Yeah.
Same
We
thing.
got about 5 or 6
Okay,
private
okay.
roads.
yeah.
All right, okay,
Okay.
that's it.
Alright, mine's pretty easy. I might have forgotten some of this, but payloader's going to auction. Is there a reserve on that?
We are guaranteed from, RDO, I think it's 42.5 on it. RDO's already gonna contact me to find out when the auction is, so they can make sure they either put a bid in. If it doesn't sell or whatever, then they'll have to pay for it anyway.
So if it sells at auction for 40,
It'll be a no sale, and it'll go back to RDO. So, and I'm not sure if RDO is gonna just put a minimum in on it right off the bat, or what's gonna happen with that, so.
But we put that minimum bid of what was already
The
on
auction-
so the
the
auction
buyback.
is minimum bid what RDO is gonna give us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alright.
They wanna start it low, because that gets interest.
No, I
people-
get you. I just wanna make
people-
sure we're covered.
So it'll probably start at 30,000
Yeah.
on the auction, and the auction starts, I think, on the 7th and ends on the 12th or something like that, or 14th. I haven't, I can get the dates for sure, but,
Is that an online deal?
yeah.
And then, the skid loader, you're not getting till January?
It'll be January, yeah. Well, it's up to you guys, I mean, that's what, I'd like to get it picked up in January.
Well, I thought
possibly.
the motion was to put the money from the payloader to
You-
pay for a skid loader.
It's, the money for that has to go back into the general, so basically it's just flip-flopping in different spots to do, so.
Yeah, so the point is, why not get the loader before it snows? The skid steer.
It's next year's budget.
So the auction is in December, so we probably will get payment before we order that skid steer, because we can't order the skid steer until January, because it's in 2019's budget. We're just getting price quotes on it now, so that we're ready when January comes.
I thought we put money in then for this year because of the sale of the payloader.
We talked about it, but it has, technically it needs to go back into general, that dollar amount that we get off the payloader. And then we had budget time, we budgeted for a skid steer for 2019.
Mhm.
So we can't actually, I mean, we
So we
can.
can buy a skid
We
loader
can,
out of
if
the
you guys
general
wanna
fund?
get it next week or whatever, I can
Oh,
get
yeah, you
stuff.
can add it to
You can
this.
do it whatever and just transfer money around, but it just, that's the way it got
I'm not
put it
sh-
together.
I'm not sure we'll have a check from them, because it takes
We
them
don't
2 or
need
3
to.
weeks.
We got money. I'm just,
Oh,
No,
yeah.
we can buy it anytime if you guys approve it and wanna do that.
yeah.
It's not like we don't have.
Yeah, that's
Were
true.
you trying to hedge, some pricing increases?
That, snow, having the new equipment, yeah, I mean, the price of a fire extinguisher is going up 7%. And I would imagine there's a lot more metal in a skid loader than a 10-pound extinguisher.
Probably, yeah, I'm sure prices, and I do.
And
kind
even
of think
5% on a skid loader is 40,000 right now.
Could you-
I mean, yeah, we could just take
I
out a reserve.
assume you could buy it in December and have it delivered in January and pay for it in January.
I mean, we could order it, it probably wouldn't be here until January.
Yeah, we
Depends
could do
on-
that too.
Well, it's gonna take us
Quicker-
5 months
I
to
was gonna
decide
say, the
what we're
quicker you
gonna buy.
get
Yeah,
those-
so
those
we'll be
specs
lucky
down,
to have
so-
this thing by spring. We should probably start right now.
Yeah, I guess it's my understanding you were gonna get it this year. And then use that budget money next year for something else.
And we certainly can do that, I could start getting actual quotes, because it's gonna be under the 50,000, I believe, so
I think
it's,
you better start putting it together.
I would get started. Actually, Lyle called me on Monday when I was still gone, and I told him I'd get together with him this week, start putting together some specs.
We'll have to see what our schedule is next year when I'm here. Get that baby
Do it on December 4th, I won't be here that day, brother.
Get it jammed through. All right, anything else for Craig?
Yeah, I do actually have a question, about the slurry seal. Do we get any of that asphalt, like from other recycled asphalt, or?
The slurry seal itself isn't, it's a
no
fresh
asphalt in
product.
it?
Yeah, it's got oils in it, emulsion oils in it, but it's got Portland cement in it, chips, water, that's basically the main ingredients in it.
And oil?
Yep, emulsion oils, yep, that, they dry, set up quick. So,
Kind of comes out as a liquid.
comes out as a liquid.
It comes out like as
Yeah.
a liquid when they apply
And
it.
it's only about 3/8 of an inch thick when it goes down, so. We used to always do chip sealing before, but then you'd always end up the chips in the yards in the spring, and it just was a messy product, and this is supposed to last longer. We've been doing it for 7 years now in town. So, but yeah, there's no actual recycled asphalt in it, it's all clean material, so.
Thanks.
All right, anything else, Gary? All right, thanks, Gary. Finance officer report.
Yeah,
Anything,
nothing more.
Karen? Anything in your report you wanna touch on?
Nope, pretty straightforward, unless anyone has questions.
Thank you for amending your report, not amending it, but including
Year to date.
the year-to-date stuff.
You're
Notice
welcome.
that. Very nice.
We've been asking for that from our economic development director for a while. We haven't done that.
Yeah, I remember that, but I submitted the report.
He's on vacation, I guess, or that.
It wasn't from his vacation.
All right,
Wow.
nothing for Karen?
I do have one silly question as I'm writing down notes here, and I noticed it wasn't, maybe I wrote it down wrong. The city Christmas party is still on the 30th also, right?
November, yep.
6:30, okay, I just want to make sure.
Is everything on your tab?
What?
Everything is on your tab?
Anything on my tab?
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
I think that's what I heard.
I've seen my Monahan drinks, no.
It was right under the bus, right under there.
That's good, I like
Yeah,
that.
you better see.
National TV.
All right, thanks, Karen, keep up the good work. I got a question for the finance officer. Since you've been employed by the city of Hartford, how many times has the bill report reconciled first time out of the gate? Did it this time?
The bill report or
Or
the?
the
The bank statements?
Bank statements, yep, they're reconciling every
Spot
month.
on.
reconciled
every
spot
month.
on this time
Mhm,
and last time,
mhm.
time before that?
It takes me much less time to reconcile
Good
the
enough.
bank statements
Take
than
a
it
look.
used to.
All right, good to
Doing
know.
good.
Oh, I see where you went with that. I see where you went with that, too.
All right,
It makes a difference.
city administrator report, anything you want to touch on, Teresa, that's not in your report?
Just a couple highlights, just then I did get insurance quote to add fencing to our insurance. It's only like $56.
That's a good deal.
I'm adding it, because obviously in the long run, if we get another $30,000 claim, so, we'll make sure we get that right or put on there. Just wanna know if there's any questions about the transit, I wanna kinda give you that update to let you know. Yeah, all the grant money for transit, small transit systems, is getting less and less. And so basically this year, all the small transits in the area, were in the negative, basically. We were lucky because we went under ICAP's umbrella and we were with 4 other systems. We only lost about 10,000, but like Dell stayed on their own and Brandon, they were 30 to 40,000
30, yeah.
they lost. So, we didn't lose that much. And ICAP, that what they did lost, they have enough in reserves, they're covering us. So they're not asking any more from the cities. We've done a couple changes, or ICAP has, we dropped Wednesday, so we're down to 3 days a week we're doing now. And that's basically, so we can have 1 driver now. Cheryl's gonna be our only driver, she used to do 2 days, she's doing all 3 days now. That still keeps her as part-time, and then the other gentleman that was here, they moved him down to part-time, so they're saving some money with their personnel. They're hoping these changes, saving fuel, dropping a day, doing some personnel changes, will make a difference for this upcoming year. But just to give you a heads up, if we keep losing grant money, it may come to the point where they'll need more funding from the city. But we're gonna make these changes and see how it goes. I just wanna kind of forewarn you, come next year before their budget time comes again, they might need to look at that. And it's across the state. There just the federal government, the state government, there's less grants out there. So, just kind of give you that
Speaking
heads
of
up.
forewarning, I mean, I assume the senior citizens, there's gonna be a flyer there, so how are we gonna let these folks know?
I mean, of course, our drivers tell them, but we post it everywhere. We got it, on our website, and the internet, posters around, so.
Town?
Cheryl pretty much tells them with
Okay,
driver.
okay.
So the senior center knows for sure.
Okay.
If we just totally change our business model with that, just like put a lift sign in it, make it for hire, for profit instead of, relying on grant money, with the brewery in town and some of those other things, I think we could probably, if we think about how to run it like a business instead of a social experiment.
You get like, I mean, if you get a lift for 6+ people, that's a pretty good deal, because it's like maybe $25 at the Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
Just something to,
Go to Madison.
I think
for
the only,
People that work there.
I think for the general public that would work, but I think a lot of the senior centers, the ones that are using it, like the seniors and whatnot, they're not gonna pay much above what they're doing now, the $4. I've heard some of them don't write it out because they don't wanna pay that $4, which is very
Yeah.
cheap, you know, so.
maybe we need to have an economics class on what it actually costs to drive a vehicle.
Oh, cause it's costly, I mean, you got
Yeah, we
gas,
could show 'em how
payroll,
much they're
maintenance
really
on the
saving by
bus,
spending that
insurance,
$4.
yeah, so. If we didn't have the grant monies, I mean, we definitely lose money on it, we do not have the ridership, I
Right.
mean, we have
So we need
10 to
a,
20 per month, I mean, really,
we need
that's.
a campaign to increase
very low.
ridership.
Well, right now, it's just a quality of
Like I
life.
say, it's more of
It's like
a
a pool.
service,
It's like a swimming pool.
it's like a pool, it's a service to the community, you're never gonna make money at it, yeah.
But what if we looked at it?
But
a
you could
different
look
way?
at it the other way, yep.
I think we need to wait for it to fail before we look at it a different way. Honestly.
I mean, if it doesn't work, we own the bus, so I mean,
I know.
if we decide to back out of it, I mean, we,
Easily.
Yeah, but we won't know until we find out what the next round of grants is
right,
and whether our portion's gonna increase, stay the same, or whatever the case may
right,
be.
right. So like the funding year runs, October to October, so we'll know like midsummer, July, August, when we come up to their next budget cycle of.
It's premature.
How
to
this
talk
year
about.
went, are we gonna need more money or what, and then we can decide at that time whether we wanna keep
On the horizon.
offering it, so.
If you wanna start your own Uber business, there's nobody stopping you.
Oh, I don't.
You can
Uber
compete
sauce.
with the city,
Uber
It's not
sauce.
your
We gotta go with.
Lyft, Uber, whatever.
Yeah, so.
All right, anything else, Teresa?
Just wondering, do you have any questions about us changing over the new meter system? You guys kind of understand, they're doing away with our old meter reading system, so we're gonna, and we budgeted for this, we knew it was coming, that we're gonna have to install a new system, and we will slowly then,
Phase them out.
phase them out, so. Yep, nope, that's it, unless you have questions for me.
Anybody got anything for Teresa?
Yeah, I'm a little fuzzy. Why are we looking at allowing limited after-hours access to the library?
So, and actually I just had a meeting today at the library. This is something that Siouxland Libraries would like to do, Right now, their times that it's staffed is limited. With this limited access, it's a system they're gonna put in place where you can get like a swipe card, like a gym membership, Swipe it, go in, get the books you want, return the books you want, do a self-checkout, swipe out, and leave. You'd have to sign an agreement, they're gonna put, this key system in place, they're gonna put motion detectors in, they're gonna put cameras in. When somebody comes in, they'll be able to get an alert on their phones, and they got a tree command who all gets this, but they'll see who's in the library, and they'll see what they're doing, and they're loitering or whatnot. We talked about it with the senior center, we talked about it with Siouxland today, we had Tyrone here, just so the sheriff's department's on board, and actually, we think it's pretty good service that they're gonna offer the community just for expand the hours, and you don't really have to expense the money, staff it. Siouxland's gonna pay for everything, as far as switching it over, this whole system is theirs, so,
And Siouxland's the one that initiated it.
yes, Siouxland did, yeah, yeah. This would be the first one in South Dakota, and we're their test site, so. Yay. Yay.
Progressive.
They're guinea pig, so.
All right.
But it does sound like a very, to explain, a very kind of unique system, so.
There's another quality of life deal for
There you go,
the city.
offering more to the
Right.
citizens.
Two to Somerville. Our mark.
We're progressive. We're progressive.
The only thing that they may ask the city to do is kind of help with some additional outside lighting if they think they need that to help their cameras work better. So we'll get them
Yeah.
set up and we'll see if we need to illuminate it more.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
More illumination, but better than night
Yeah.
vision cameras. Yeah.
So they'll get them set up and we'll see how the picture turns out. We'll go from there, so.
All right, anybody got anything else for Teresa?
Just a budget question. So, we're about 440,000 is good in our total cash.
possibility that we won't have to get real creative with our financing to pay for the improvements at the sports complex?
For this year?
Yeah.
No, I think we're covered with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of running the numbers, so, yeah.
Good.
This year we're fine in reserves. So,
All right, anything else? All right, thanks, Teresa.
Okay.
On that note, I would yield to Mayor Denny.
Okay. You want to stay in your spot? You want to switch spots?
I can, but I got the hammer, if you don't
Yeah.
mind. It's all good. All right,
Stay
so where we're at, right?
Yep, I didn't believe so. You're all the way through reports. Got
Skipped over visitors and, yeah, we're down to old business right now. So if you wanna, this is Ben White.
Perfect.
So if you wanna go back to him.
Let's jump up to that, that'd be perfect. Okay, that way. So update on I-93, exit 387.
Yeah, Ben White with HR Green, appreciate you guys letting me come here and talk to you. So basically, HR Green and KLJ are teaming with the DOT, City of Hartford, FHWA, and the Sioux Falls MPO to study this interchange. As you're all aware, numerous bridge strikes, notably two in the past 4 years, have raised the eyebrows on the low clearance. And so the next step in order to have the bridge replaced is to do the interchange study. So we're in the process of doing the interchange modification justification report, or IMJR, and the environmental document. Earlier this summer, we had the first public meeting to introduce the study and kind of the process that it takes. And so the reason I'm here tonight is just to encourage you all to attend, anyone in the audience, to attend the next public meeting, which is scheduled for this Monday in Hartford at the fire station. So Monday the 26th from 6 to 7:30. And then earlier in the day, in the afternoon, we'll be meeting with some of the stakeholders, those that are most affected. And so basically what we'll be doing at the public meeting is going through the interchange layouts and the Western Avenue corridor layouts that we've analyzed and looked at. For the most part, with the limited right-of-way and the proximity of the businesses to the existing right-of-way, it's just variations of the standard diamond or what's generally out there now. And so, yeah, what the key step is that we'd like to accomplish at the public meeting is come to a consensus on a preferred alternative. And once we have the preferred alternative or the layout option that we recommend and that, you know, the study advisory team is behind and the public is behind, then we can move forward with the IMJR and submitting it through Federal Highway and finishing the environmental document. And once you do that, then you can actually go through and do the project, which is slated for the DOT's, their STIP for fiscal year 2025. So.
Questions? I don't
Any
know.
questions? Yeah.
Yep, question. I know one of the layouts that's being discussed is the roundabout type layout up there.
Yep.
If that's the direction it goes, do you have some that you can direct us to? We can go look at, check out, see
Yeah.
aerials of, and kind of get a feel for it.
Yep, I can tell you now, and then we'll also have links and some videos of the meeting too, but there's one up near Watertown that the DOT just finished. DX Civil was the contractor, and they actually have video of it, you know, showing it driving with the big semi trucks. The DOT in Asheville, which is design vehicle, so it's a WB67, kind of the standard truck and trailer. And it shows them navigating around. I know that at the last public meeting, there were some concerns with the truck apron and, you know, having to navigate up the curve. But yeah, there's videos that shows them, you know, just wrapping right on through, and with the cars and smaller trucks, you know, just stay in the regular driving lane. And so, yeah, I mean, that's probably the safest option in our opinion. I mean, you when you go around the roundabout, it's all right-hand turns. You eliminate the left-hand turns, so you, instead of 32 potential conflict points, you're down to 8. And it's safer for pedestrians and cars and trucks. And the other selling point as well is that it eliminates the need for a traffic signal, which the projections that we've done is, you know, with the improvements that are already, you know, looked at for Western Avenue, which is adding a center turn lane. That would be, in our estimation, a signal would be needed, especially in the westbound ramps. The westbound ramp terminal is the heaviest traffic, you know, coming back from Sioux Falls at the end of the work day. It would be about 2040 that a signal would be needed. So, yeah, with the roundabouts, you eliminate the need for future traffic signals. We're big proponents on just safer, eliminate the conflict points and significantly reduce serious crashes. And so, yeah, certainly encourage all of you to attend the public meeting if you're able to.
There's enough room up there for roundabouts?
Yep, there with any of the options we go with, you know, to upgrade the existing ramps to the DOT standard, we'd be looking to acquire a little bit of right of way, you know, with either option. And with the roundabouts, there would be just slivers in the corners that would be additional to the standard payment, you know, wouldn't necessarily see.
Are we considered shareholders? Did we go to the 1 o'clock meeting?
I don't
Certainly
think,
can.
the foundation will be there,
Me-
members of the
me
board
three
will definitely be there.
All right.
Yeah, that's at 1 o'clock, yeah. I should say something.
The only one I have experience with would be an outlet mall on the way to Minneapolis. There's roundabouts to get to that. I'm well versed in those roundabouts.
Those people are all distracted because of the outlet malls.
There's one in 69th and Southeastern in Sioux Falls that's been there for probably 10 years.
So I don't get down there.
That was put in long before there was anything out there.
That's the wrong side of the 8 mile right there.
And a question for you, how much of a say does public have in this whole process? I mean, how much does their opinion really weigh into the decisions that ultimately are made in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, they're taking into consideration, I mean, pretty heavily. I mean, if there was significant pushback on the roundabouts, I mean, we that wouldn't preclude us from moving forward with the IMGR. You know, the study advisory team was all about it, but it could hold up the environmental document, you know, with the public outcry.
So if the public prefers a certain option, is that, I mean, is there a certain weighing against cost or timelines that is considered or used to make a decision, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a specific rubric or a specific scoring system, but it's definitely taken into account. I mean, the DOT really wants public buy-in, and you know, one of the things that they brought up too is that, okay, if there's significant concern with the raised truck apron, I mean, there's ways to mitigate that, you know, with smaller curves and, you know, the thing that you want to be careful of is you don't want to get it too low, because then it encourages the shortcutting, you know, and just blazing on through there.
The reason why I ask is our development foundation is very interested in this and how it's gonna impact Hartford's entrance over the next 75 years. And so we wanna make sure we're involved in this process as much as possible and making sure that it's, you know, business friendly as well as aesthetically pleasing to passersby on Interstate 90.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you hearing a lot of negative pushback from the roundabouts?
You know, I haven't, but I'm just, I could guess.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan personally of roundabouts because everything says they're more efficient, and they are, as long as you know how to use them, which is the big issue.
Right.
They're very well, all that, but we just have some ideas of how that intersection could look even better. But
Oh, sure.
we'll go into input sessions and talk about that too.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Did you go into the 1 o'clock?
Yeah, we sent out mailers, to the stakeholders and residents. Today we put out some door hangers on some of the apartments, so. It's advertised on the city of Hartford's website, we have it on our Facebook page, DOT has it on theirs.
You got signs out there.
Signs out there, the county has signs.
Yeah, I noticed that today.
So we advertise in the messenger and the shopping guide and then the artist as well, so hopefully the word.
I think if you say you're gonna talk about roundabouts, a lot of people will show up. Round the boots, round the boots, yeah.
Well, no, I really appreciate it. It's good heads up. I mean, you know, we're this many years ahead. I think it's a really good plan to get, to know what's gonna happen and just have to plan for it going forward. So I appreciate that. So Monday the 26th,
Yes.
the regular meeting is from 6 to 7:30.
Right.
And did you say 2025 was the completion or the start?
It's start date. Yeah.
All right. Well, unless we have any other questions for Ben, we'll move on.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, we're gonna leave the other item on the sports complex open on the visitor section there. I did see Matt down there.
Yeah, he said he might
He's gonna try to
come
come
late.
down. There could be done, so. Go to old business then. Review price information on the flashing speed signs. So after our discussion about Nicholson Road, you know, at our last meeting, definitely, you know, to our sheriff's department, they're gonna beef up their patrol. Tyrone actually talked to me about, he may be shuffling around his hours, you know, maybe 1 week coming in early so he can get that morning rush, or stay later so he can get that coming home, you know, to kind of patrol it better. But we did have questions about, you know, what, if we wanted to put signs out, flashing signs, speed limit signs, you know, like some of them. So I did put just some random, you know, just Googled some information. I mean, there's several sign companies out there, and I just put a couple of examples in here so you guys can kind of decide, depending on, you know, if we want to put a sign up or two, you know, here's a price if you want to do a flashing sign with the speed limit or whatnot. Just give you an idea of what the cost would be. And so, you know, just wondering if we want to pursue this or not, and if we do want to pursue it, if you can give me a little more specifics, I can get actual quotes on something, you know. Do we want it to be, you know, fixed, or do we want it to be a portable sign? Do we want it to be hardwired or solar powered, or, you know, do we want it to just display the speed limit, or do we want the ones that flash to say, you know, your speed is this, you know, slow down, or whatever, you know. So if we want to move forward with this, if you guys can kind of talk about that and in some direction.
I don't think the
I mean-
portable signs are the right way to go. I mean, we have one already, and I don't think we get a whole heck of a use out of it. We get it out there, of course, but not on a regular basis. So I'm more prone to a fixed if we do go on anything.
I like the fixed solar. I gotta hand it to whoever came up with these model numbers. Are you too fast?
Yeah, just in the last week, I happened to notice one on Cliff Avenue as you're going into Harrisburg, almost identical to the one Teresa's got in here, where it's got the speed limit on the sign, and then right below it, it had, you know, the flashing, this is what you're actually doing, and it was solar powered and all of that, so. I was just kind of curious as to, they know how to price for them too.
they're not cheap. Have you had any experience or heard anything from others, Craig, on reliability that hold up? Have we heard anything on that from other cities or?
I think a lot of them like them because it does catch the public's eye when they flash and stuff like that. I know, like, when I drive through town to see them, they're flashing, slow down. I mean, I guess, I think a lot of them got theirs back when that grant money was available a couple years ago. I've never heard any of them say, like they wish they'd never got them.
Sure.
Like that, so.
I've had conversations with Chris Graff, who was here that night and spoke on behalf of the residents up there. I can tell you one thing we did, we've changed those guys' mind. They don't think that we need to have stop signs. Because we've really changed their mind. He sent me an email again today and he said, I would really encourage you, he told me he'd really encourage us to have a sign of some sort. But he's on board. He did he's an engineer, so he did some research, and everything that he found out read that stop signs don't help. In fact, in most cases, hurt. So.
There's an engineer, he's got a spreadsheet then.
Oh, I'm sure he's got it. I should have had him send that. I bet he's got a spreadsheet.
Well, those of us who do have stop signs in front of our house or by our house definitely attested to that.
Yeah.
That they're worthless. I don't know if it's worthless, but I mean.
Yeah.
There's quite a few signs that should not be where they're at.
So what is the penalty for someone just personally removing a sign?
Why don't you find out? Let us know.
You're on camera.
Man, this is your second meeting. I would say we should get some prices on a solar mounted one or two, and
These are the three that get me excited. Are you too fast, 250?
the 12-inch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you too fast? Where's that other one go now? Yeah. The 250 is just kind of the one that.
Yeah, is that the
Well, that's a
solar
nice one.
powered
It's
one,
solar
Travis?
powered,
Yeah.
it's fixed, it says what the speed limit is,
Yep.
and then it flashes what
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
driving,
I
so
like
I
that.
mean,
I did
Pretty
too.
economical too.
and it's 2,500, yeah, so I mean, it's
Is that the
It
bottom?
is.
not the most,
We
The
can afford to put a few
the
in
two
around.
fifty shows a picture of a solar panel, but it doesn't say it's solar panel, it says it's 12 volt DC.
oh.
Unless that's
What's,
just,
They always have a
what's the solar
backup.
panel there?
They,
I don't know, I don't have it,
Electricity.
I don't know.
12 volts.
Does it really? Do you see anything that says solar panel right there?
Maybe that's an option. Maybe it's an
I mean, it
option.
could-
they might not say it, but
$4,000 option.
What do you think, Steve?
we'd have to look into that part of it. I mean, the solar panel, I'm sure it is solar paneled, but there is, like even our crosswalks and that, they're all battery backed up. So they all got a regular 12-volt battery in them, so that if the sun, if it's cloudy for 2 days, the battery runs off that.
Right, you could hit some used to 277 volts.
So are we gonna start putting these up all around town?
It's a good question.
Really start with one.
Is-
and see.
You know, people are speeding down my road, I'm gonna come to the city and ask for 2. And then Second Street's gonna ask for 2. Then Munn's gonna ask for 2. Oak's gonna ask for 2.
Grand one.
Anyway, whatever, I mean,
At the last
Where do
meeting,
we-
there was a motion made that Nicholson, moving forward, is 100% enforcement,
right,
no warnings. So, I'm not opposed to these, but I'm not sure that I wanna walk down this road until we find out what the 100% enforcement does to the speeds on that road. Cause like you say, I mean, I drive every day and they get my attention, they have them, there was a portable set out there in the anchor. And when you come in where it goes from 45 down to 30 or 35, the scenery doesn't change, but the speed limit does. And when that thing starts flashing at you, that you're going in
50.
excess of posted speed limit, it gets your attention, but.
and I'm not opposed to it either, I'm just saying, this could open a can of worms, or we say, thoroughfare, main arterial roads, because they're getting traffic, out-of-town traffic, we wanna get their attention. So,
I'd like to see what the traffic is before we.
yeah, I'll agree with that.
Because when we started,
So that was not.
Is it?
when the stop signs got put up, that was to control speed throughout town, different ones. And those got mostly put up where the people came down and complained about their area. The one on Oaks, because of the daycare up there. So it's one of those things, there was more people that wanted them, but the council at that time said, no, we don't need any more stop signs, you know, it's not. You could treat these the same way, just do it on a as basis. I mean, there's a lot of roads that you wouldn't need them on, you know, maybe look at
Yeah.
future
I just-
Western Avenue or something like that.
I realize that, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in and make sure everybody's thinking about it.
And I don't disagree with you, Mark. I think that it's gonna be a case by case. A lot of, if we're looking at some of these where we have arterial roads where it's just, you can just tell it's faster than others. That's typically where you see them in town, and then in the core part of the community, you don't. But, you have to think like, okay, you put one up by the school, put one on, stuff, some of those things. Teresa, do you think these prices, you mentioned something about getting a better quote, do you think these are actual prices on here, or do you think we could?
Oh, I think these are their prices for their standard models. Now, if you want to deviate from it, I mean, it might vary slightly, but
Okay.
I don't think,
Not much.
I don't think
You wanna
that's
know,
much.
you wanna know one of the drawbacks I can see with being a radar stop or a speed limit sign? Is I'm guessing it'd take probably a few days before a local teenager marked off a quarter of a mile.
You could put a cutoff speed on it where they shut down.
You'd almost have to.
They do have that in them. Our
Cause
portable,
I can see
our portable
somebody
usually shut
marking a
down.
quarter of a mile off
Yep.
and then
See how fast they go.
starting and just seeing, 1 in the morning.
And then with their semi, and then they hit
Jake
Jake
break right about by my place. We need Jake breaking at my house.
Absolutely anarchy.
That's gonna be a truck route, yeah?
That's truck route.
Oh, jeez.
Like I said, we typically put this cutoff speed at like 10
Weekend
over,
or-
12 over. So
That's
once
it.
it's flashed that much,
That's a
if
good
they
point.
keep
I didn't
going,
think about
it
that,
shuts
Emma.
off. Yep.
Well, we also know that the traffic pattern's gonna, we really will get a better idea once that thing's open.
Once it's fully completed, yeah.
Even Chris and the residents up there understand. He said the traffic now, yeah, once in a while they'll see somebody really go ripping by. Because it's a nice, like Mark said, it's a nice smooth road. People are gonna rip down there pretty good. But he said, he's also interested, he knows that once that thing opens up, the traffic pattern's gonna change. I also had a talk with Tyrone, he followed me into my driveway, not that I was doing anything wrong. Let me preface that. He followed me into my driveway. He is sending out a memo
Yep.
to the watch commander and to his fellow deputies saying what Mark just said, 100%.
Yeah, I
You know,
saw it.
and I told the neighbors, I said, you need to understand, people that are gonna get caught are the people who live up here, so you better, if you get a chance, tell your friends. Because I told my wife, because she runs that stop sign at our corner, and I said, you better make sure you stop before you pull on, because Tyrone's gonna be here someday, and you're gonna get a ticket, so.
I do believe some of these are even set up where they can do a traffic count, download the traffic on them, and
Oh, I
they can
bet.
also tell your speeds, your low speeds, your average speeds, and your high speeds. So, I mean, you can do a lot with it, a lot of it, yeah.
Yeah, but we have that right now, don't we?
Yeah, our portable can do that, so you
That'd be
get that
something
from them.
to look into them too and see.
That's
what
the
it
argument,
costs to
too
do that.
fast and too good, right there. I would say we should wait.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, do we have a preference for it now, or do you wanna wait and see?
I would say we should wait. I think we let enforcement see how that plays out this winter and get closer to opening this thing up next spring.
I think the council's gonna have a better handle on it when the road is done.
Yeah.
And business goes back to normal, I think there's either gonna be a whole lot of complaints, a whole lot of tickets, or a combination.
Yep, I agree.
I think if we get to the point where we take that stop sign down on Mickelson, And if they're, you know, we see how things are going this spring, that's a good time to take a stop sign down and put up
Yeah.
something like this about the same time.
Probably another way to approach it would be to, once the road gets opened up, we leave the traffic counters out in different areas, because then you can detect speeds on them and your volumes at the same time, so you'll be able to tell if you have a lot of average, a lot of above average speeding on it, or if you have average, 8% or not speeding on it, so that'd be a cheap way to monitor it, for a while anyway.
Yeah,
Right. Okay. All right. Thanks
don't
for
throw
getting-
that away, don't throw your information
No,
away.
we'll just
Yeah,
readdress it next.
You start moving those around, you can almost tell where those people are living that are speeding.
Almost.
All right, we're gonna move on. Old business, I also had, some council members that want to readdress or talk about some of the items on the transfer of city property to the HADC. So, Maya and Keel will probably let you guys talk about that a little bit as to what things you would like to discuss there.
I'll jump in just because Mark had called me and I was the only one that really questioned it last meeting. And all I look at it as, we're accountable to the taxpayers. My concern is the HADC kind of goes, maybe there's a whole new body on there by the time that land sells or doesn't sell or gets transferred. And something happens to our economic development director. There's just no, currently the way that motion is worded, there's no safety net. There's no escape clause. And given the amount of money we've invested in that, I don't think that's fair to our taxpayers.
So what are you proposing?
Mine?
Well, what caught my, and I agree with Travis, but I also read the minutes and I seen it was a 5-0 vote. And I had a conversation with Jeremy a couple days ago, and Jeremy brought up a good point that, granted, we're gonna have $100,000 or better in those 6 lots. And if the HADC decides to, whether the council shuffles or the HADC shuffles, and even for that matter, if Jesse finds greener pastures, I would think that in the future, if something does go upside down, that'd be a learning experience and, burn me once and we're done type of deal. It'd be an expensive lesson learned, and I would just assume not set anybody up. I wouldn't vote it for it just because I wouldn't want to set a future council up for taking that risk. But that being said, I can get over that point, but what got me was, because I believe it was election day, I had a conversation with Jesse. And if this was a matter of this business borrowing money, either giving the land or giving the land at a discount or whatever, going in and taking on a business loan and putting that building up themselves, that's one thing. But when Jesse told me about the investment group, that's a totally different animal in my mind, because Jesse mentioned opening it up to the public. And if I misspeak, Jesse, let me know, but
Yeah, so there's,
public
right.
Well, I don't mean jump in, I'm just telling you if I say something wrong.
Oh,
If I say something wrong.
yeah, this is
stop it.
right, and that's what I'm trying to do, since we're gonna verify.
Yep.
Those are 2 options we've explored, but don't have anything concrete yet, because we don't have the
Yeah.
land.
So, best case scenario, well, let's just say, in my mind, worst case scenario would be to sell shares for this quote-unquote investment group. And in my mind, that's not the ideal way to do it, but then that opens another door. So, if they're gonna have an investment group, can I be an investor? Because the perception of that is, the council donates land to the HADC for $1, and then I turn around and invest in a business that's gonna have a 10-year lease with the HADC. So I would think that our ethics policy probably covers me from not doing that. But then I get to thinking, if the HADC is set up, because right now, just the ones I know of are Justin Ike, Eric Barton, Howie. And I know Justin Ike's invested in this community with Bishop Crossing. I know Eric Bartman's invested in this community with his projects, and I thought, well, how would that look if this city council sells that land for $1, and then members of the HADC or board members are big shareholders? And I assume those board members are gonna quote unquote control the lease or the agreement or something. Well,
That's not the plan we have in place.
it's just a plan.
Well, we don't have the cash for that, so.
But what I'm saying is that just opens up another door as to what could go wrong. And my conversation with Jeremy, I realize, I've sat here a long time and I realize I'm jaded. I do, I get that. You know, I probably don't have as much trust as I should. But I think I've earned that. I think I've earned that along the years. Because I've had the unpleasure of seeing things that I wish I hadn't seen. I've seen things go wrong. And I come at this from an angle of trying to prevent things from going wrong in the future. And selling land to the HADC for $1 with no strings attached while they're talking about a public investment group, to me, is a whole bunch of red flags. I'm not saying there's going to be problems, I'm saying there could be problems. And what's their problems if you don't own that land? The problem is that people are gonna wonder why you did it. So, you know, and honestly, worst case scenario, if this deal falls through with the daycare, they're gonna literally have $100,000 worth of taxpayer land. And granted, if they don't play ball with city council on what goes in there, how it's developed, you know, they very well never not get another bite at the plate. But
So my argument to that is our project up north of the park, we've invested already $500,000. And one of the prospective businesses that was gonna go in there was an investment group that was gonna build a building and rent it to a company coming in to go to work. It's really no different.
Mark, your concern is, you're afraid of the investment group being the same people who sit on the HADC, whereas the example you gave, Mark, is an outside investment group, so there's not that conflict of interest.
Well, the investment group is an investment group. Whoever the investors are is irrelevant. They're trying to get a project down here.
I don't know if I'd say it's irrelevant.
To me it is. I don't care who puts the money up because they're putting a risk into it too. So,
The thing that didn't sit right with me, the more I thought about it after the vote, I did vote for it, but is we had the project across the street go really well, but we just had one little caveat on there, and that was if there isn't a building permit on that land within a year, the city gets to revisit that proposal. And I think something as minor as that gives us just that little bit of a parachute, a little bit of an out if things don't feel right, don't smell right. The whole makeup of the development corporation changes, you know.
I think it's okay to have this discussion. I do want, and this is one of the things that Mark and I talked about a little bit, is that if we're gonna develop a sense of trust between some of these organizations, then we're gonna have to do it. I mean, it goes both ways. And putting land out there and then saying, not so sure, we kinda wanna, this daycare, you said it was gonna be K through whatever, and now it's 3 through this. I feel, and we're not doing that, but I feel like the council has a tendency to micromanage certain things. And I understand it's our responsibility because it is taxpayer money, but I also believe that we have groups in place, we have agreements with those groups in place, and we employ the director of those groups for a reason. And I think that that reason is so that we don't spend taxpayer money and taxpayer time micromanaging every project. Part of the discussion Mark and I had, and it was a very good discussion, was I think that group and this group both have the same intentions. We both want the same things. What Mark's alluding to is that if they don't follow through with what we believe those intentions are, yeah, they're probably one decision away from not being funded by the city at that point. That's a pretty big carrot or stick, I guess. I don't know what you want to say on that. I also have Jesse, who's a big part of that group, who can help steer that, who's a city employee. So I get it. I get it that we want to be cautious, but I also think that as we grow, it's important that we consider we have chamber doing chamber things, we have development foundation doing development foundation things, and we probably don't need to manage every detail. That's where I stand on it.
And I get that. I would like to make a point to what Mark said though, about those two scenarios being the same. And actually they're not, because the investment group that was talking about the land up north, this council was sitting at the table. In the land on South Street, this council is not sitting at that table. And I think that is a big discrepancy between those two scenarios.
What do you mean sitting at the table?
Well, we weren't talking about handing that land out to the HADC and letting the HADC talk to an investment group. That conversation was the council.
We're putting the money into it though. And
That's
we're
true.
entrusting a private organization or private business to have profit off of our investment.
That's true.
So that's where it's the same to me. And so,
Yes, the concept of the investment group's the same, but there's different people sitting at the table. That's all I'm saying. So,
so
like I said,
So the reason I left it open-ended was we didn't tie their hands on what couldn't go there. So if this project falls through, or if another project calls up and says, hey, we're looking for this much land, and they go, you know what, as a group, HADC or the development corp, whatever you want to call it, says, you know, I don't think this daycare is going to go through, but these guys want to come to town. We've got land that will work. Guess what? Daycare, you're out. XYZ company, you're in.
Essentially, that is literally as open as the door was left with our last land transfer. We didn't put any stipulations on it, other than if there isn't a building permit. We didn't specify even who had the building permit.
Well, I guess, I mean,
I don't think we even need to get that specific with it being attaching a building permit to it. We just say, if that land hasn't transferred in a year, we just wanna look at it again. We wanna look at that option, make sure that option is still a good fit for the city, for the HADC, for the community.
so I guess what I'll say is, we can beat this around like we did for a payloader for 6 months. If somebody's got a solution or a motion they wanna make, let's hear it. Move on.
So you wanna amend what we did last week, Mark's motion? Yes, is that correct? What's the terminology we're using?
I don't know, I mean, Teresa, what?
You need to make a new motion.
We need to make a new motion?
Yeah.
A new motion
You
to,
can't amend his, it's been done.
well, yeah, okay, yeah, this was wrong, substitute motion or whatever, but, so that's what you're kicking the can on right now?
We just put one little safety net, we put one parachute, we put one caveat on there, and that's that. If nothing has happened with that land in a year, we just look at the proposal again and see if it's still the right thing to do. No building permits tied to it, no land use, no anything other than if it hasn't transferred out of the HADC's hands, the city council gets to look at, is that still the direction we want to head, completing that transfer?
Okay, well, I'm leaning Jeremy's direction as far as the trust factor goes. We had some tough times with HADC in the beginning, and a lot of those people are the same people that are sitting there today. So I guess I have to hear the motion one more time just to make sure I have a concise understanding of what you're thinking.
That was my concern, Mark, but I mean, you got a motion you wanna make?
I'm inclined to just leave it be and come on the record, so, and it's already been voted on, I'm not gonna sit here and try to change the world, it doesn't seem like it's got enough support to change. And even if it was tied, Jeremy, very tied in favor of leaving it alone, so. Like I said, all I wanted to do was express my concern, and like I said, I know I come from a jaded position, I mean, that doesn't fall short on me. And I'm all for, I mean, I have no axe to grind with the HADC. But, yeah, like I said, I just had concerns that there wasn't something as simple as a readdress in 12 months. And I also have concerns about the investment group and who.
Is there an investment group?
No.
There's none known, is there?
No.
No.
No, so like I said, I just want to voice my concerns.
No, I know, I just wanted to make sure that wasn't the issue. Like, if you knew who was buying it, would that affect?
No,
your
like
opinion?
I said earlier, Mark, I'll use Jeremy as an example. Jeremy used to be president of the HADC, I believe. Jeremy was the president of the HADC. Jeremy has fond feelings towards the HADC, and that's all well and good, and Jeremy's an optimist, and everything's gonna work out great. And Jeremy's been here for a year and a half.
Almost 3.
Oh, have you? Yeah. Oh. So I apologize. Oh, I didn't know I'd been here that long. You know, and me on the other hand, I've just had a longer tenure to see situations like this go bad. You know, and I've seen how quickly they can go bad. And I come at it from a perspective of trying to alleviate things in the future from going bad. So it comes across as that I have heartburn with the HADC, or, you know, whatever label you want to put on it. It comes across harsh, but it's not intended to. It's meant to come across as trying to protect the taxpayer. Because I care far more about the 800 to 1,000 people that I represent in Ward 2 than I do the feelings of anybody other than that. So,
My final thought is, I'm not gonna make a motion, I'm not gonna do anything about it, other than plant the seed. And again, in Jeremy's vein of, having trust in the HADC, we've got a large, parcel on the north end of town, that it would be nice to give this same, freedom to the HADC to say, market this, this land freely. But if we don't have this discussion and things go sideways, that land gets sold somehow, gets transferred to the HADC, it gets sold, doesn't get developed, ends up kind of landlocked, and that person isn't entertaining any development, then we look really silly. And every time I go to the building center and I look north, I'm reminded of that, so.
Good points,
That's
guys.
good discussion, yeah. And I think it helps make sure, we got Jesse in the room, and it helps to solidify what our intentions are for that land, even if it's not part of the motion, so I appreciate that. All right. Move on. We will jump up to the visitors section. Got Matt Evans here with an update for sports complex.
Mr. Mayor, Council, only women now, but sorry, we got, thanks for letting me jump in, thanks for letting me jump in late. The middle school concert was well attended and, fabulous as always, so thanks. Let's see, we had our most recent meeting this last Sunday. Mitch and John Brown from Stockwell were able to join us as we had a discussion about one of the projects that we're looking to move forward with over the course of this next year, which would be restroom concession and storage building. So they just shared some information with us on, approximate costs, as well as they're looking to provide us with several different options for us to look at and to narrow things down as we move forward to then present to you. Mitch also shared information on the seeding project that rather than seeding this fall, that they're going to wait for the spring due to the late start and kind of the lack of snowpack for this winter that they're thinking, so they'll get started in spring with that. As far as our treasurer's report, in addition to what's being held for us with the city that's set aside, we have $14,209.50 in our account. As far as old business, we talked about what we're going to do as far as we move forward with putting up our scoreboard that we have, or scoreboards that we have approval for, and how to deal with the donations, that type of thing, for those that, part of that will be paid by the Legends grant plus another donation to start with. We came up with the plan of, as we go through donations, having a place behind home plate or along the concession stand whenever we get that building to recognize those donors that have sponsored different pieces out there. We also as far as hearing from you at the last time we were at this meeting when Tim Gehring was here, as far as looking at a basic summary for our sponsorship, donation, advertisement packet. Our next meeting on December 9th will be focused to working on that, so we can have a proposal for you hopefully at the next January meeting. There's been a lot of talk for the past year, and as hard as it's been to get members there and talk about side committees, it's just time to heck with separate meetings. We're just going to use that, put some of the other things aside, and just focus on that so we can come back with something concrete for you as we move forward and try to keep our momentum going out there. As far as any new business, Softball Association let us know that they received a $1,000 Legends grant that'll go for the new batting cages out there, so that'll help in funding that. They have several members that are looking at different options, as far as netting and all that type of stuff, and they'll be putting together something for us to eventually move forward and hopefully have that up this spring then to move forward with that. As far as just discussion for the future, our group is going to look at, one of the things that as we continue to move, do we want to just continue focusing on the sports complex, or are we going to kind of expand and work with kind of all sports throughout the city in the different locations? Because there is a lot of overlap, especially when we're talking softball, baseball, some of the different fields that are used, whether groups are using, Turtle Creek, just at the city park, those type of things. But that'll be another thing that was brought up that we'll look towards further down the line. Though, hopefully we will continue to push for the Parks and Rec position. We're actually if that gets taken care of, then this other stuff gets kind of, that discussion gets knocked off our plate, so. That is about it. Any questions?
Where we at, Teresa, on this meeting with Larry, Matt, Travis,
So
and
we're like in
I?
agreement between them. I haven't heard back from Matt or Travis as far as the doodle poll of when you can
Yeah.
meet, so.
I finished mine at 6:15 tonight.
So no, I haven't seen it, so. Now we just need
All
Matt.
right, and I might
Matt to
pass that,
wait.
we had another member jump up, so I'll pass that along.
Okay, fine.
So-
Whoever, so once I hear that, then I can see which day works
Yeah.
best for everybody and
Yeah.
let you know. We're looking at trying to get a meeting lined up though for next week sometime, so we can
Yeah.
get started on it.
We're gonna
And,
talk about, that's gonna set up we're gonna really work at a guideline for how we're gonna handle donations,
Right.
how the
yeah,
money's
yeah.
gonna set, how we gonna, how's it all gonna be addressed?
Right, how it should all work with the sports complex committee, getting an agreement between the two
Payable to
entities.
Mark Brenneman.
Yeah. And as far as the park rec director, I told both the schools that I'd like all applications by the end of this month, so then next month, you know, we've got 2 already, so next month we can get a group
Interview.
together and look at those and interview them, so, yeah.
Awesome. Hey, we still think about you guys once in a while.
Good.
I was in Nashville, so I didn't make the meeting. I had a really good excuse.
I got a quick question
Yeah.
there on that. And this is maybe just more of a clarification. I hear us using it interchangeably. I hear it all over the place, myself, everything, right? So we talk about sports complex committee, and we also talk about Hartford area sports and rec. What does your group consider yourself?
Well, officially, we're titled the Hartford Area Sports and Rec Incorporated.
Okay.
So that's the official name, but I think for, you know, when people are just passing in quick, you know,
We'll talk about
they go
complex.
Sports and Rec Committee. So,
Right. Well, and I think it would even help for us, even just for some clarification. I know you were talking about clarifying, okay, what are you gonna focus on? Is it gonna be just, you know, ball diamonds up there, up north? Is it gonna be all of that land up there, or is it really all of the facilities around town and how you utilize them and some of those kind of things? To me, I think it would help give us some clarification and you, if we cleared that up a little bit, because I think in the past, way in the past, before most of us were even around on this, there was a sports complex committee, and they were kind of responsible for helping to design and helping to do a lot of different things with specifically the land up north. And right now, I think there's a lot of people looking at each other like, okay, well, is that yours? Is that ours? What do you do? What role do you guys play in this? What role do we play in this? All of that. So that's where I lean to go, gosh, you know, we've got sports land all over town.
right.
It's really, to me, it feels like it makes the most sense to have you guys help to be focused on utilizing all of that to the best of the ability.
Right.
And
I think that's where the conversation came up, and, you know, there have been different times where Terry's brought up, you know, all the different places to be able to play and that type of stuff, and as we receive grants, and whether it's also updating a batting cage at City Park or whatever's needed there, you know, to use, you know, whatever grants we go towards, and that's kind of why it came up, you know, because we do want to expand and try to bring in as many groups as possible, and there is that overlap, so,
there's that overlap.
yeah.
Yep. Because you may be doing some fundraising for, I'm just gonna say batting cages or backstops or soccer nets or whatever it is. They might not go up north.
Right.
They might go somewhere else.
Yeah, and in the, you know, in our mission statement, it basically does talk about helping with the, you know, the design of the sports complex and moving forward there, but it also does mention, you know, overall sports and recreation activities in the community, for the community, so.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think I will make more conscious effort, and you know, it would be nice if all of us do to, or try to keep referring to as the Hartford area sports and rec, so that it's not confused that there's 2 different groups or anything like that.
Right, and then we keep on pushing for anybody that's using it, not just the sports complex, that it's the you know, Swenson Park Sports Complex and that type of thing, because I think we're used to, oh, it's just that sports, you know, the more that we get his name out there, especially as we have groups coming in, you know, it's on Google Maps. If you search Swenson Park, it'll come up and, you know, with the picture and, you know, directions to it. So the more that we have groups coming in to use that, the more that we can, you know, have that name out there so they know what they're looking for, not just the Hartford Sports Complex.
Right,
So.
right.
Can I make a suggestion,
Mm-hmm.
as far as that's concerned? I really think you should just call it Swenson Park,
Okay.
because it's short, it's easy.
Right.
And if you just start calling it Swenson Park,
It might be easier for everybody.
and that covers this. Well, I mean, you laugh, but if I say Turtle Creek, where's that at? You know, right where it's at. Turtle Creek Park.
Right.
Mike Franken Trail got branded before they even turned the shovel here. For that very reason.
I think actually even our agreement with Swenson is Swenson Park.
Yep.
Just that.
Swenson Park. So,
That's why the sign
Hartford,
says
you know, a perfect example is Hartford Heights Trail. Because it's not called Hartford Heights Trail, it's called Michael J.
It's Morris.
Because it was Hartford Heights Trail long before it was titled. So,
You know who do a great job of keeping all that stuff separate?
Jesse? Tracy?
A full-time sports and rec director.
Of course. All right, sounds
Never,
good.
never tired.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
It's kind of like the road plan.
When's the next meeting?
There's no
December
one that's
9th?
December 9th.
I need to find one.
Yeah, you need it.
I will
I got
attend.
Danny Mike, okay.
All right, we're gonna keep on moving. We've got, under new business, we've got consider payment to Keel and Jones for sports complex meetings. I brought this up at the last meeting a little bit. Back when I asked to have them two appointed to go to those meetings, and we don't, as Keel just pointed out, we do not have a director for that group. We don't have anybody that is paid to do that. My intention during that appointment was actually so that they would also get paid to go to some of those meetings, but I didn't make it as part of my motion or as part of my appointment, so, wanted to consider that tonight.
Do you remember when that appointment was, Jeremy?
Do you guys remember when that was?
Boy,
June.
it's been a while.
Teresa?
it was
I'll tell you, what, I'm gonna
like
make a
the
motion,
spring
just to
one.
get conversation rolling. I'm going to make a motion that Travis and Arden get paid for the sports,
Hartford Area Sports and Rec.
Hartford area's the new name, for attending those meetings from the time they were appointed, any meeting that generated minutes. So if three of you stood in Sunshine parking lot talking smart, they're not getting paid.
Dang it.
I'll do a
Something in the
second.
future too, is that part of your motion, I would like to.
Yeah, it was retroactive and going forward.
And going forward,
Okay, that's what I want to make sure.
we have a second from Brenneman.
So,
Second from Brenneman.
because honestly, I mean, I don't know whether you guys attended meetings that no minutes were generated. I suspect you probably were, but
Yep.
No,
That's fair.
I think that only makes it fair. Right.
Yep.
that comes from me being jaded again, because I seen
You
people
are
get,
jaded.
I seen people get paid for meetings that were
I
suspect at best.
Yeah, I think if there's no meeting minutes generated, I agree.
Speaking of which, where,
Yes.
Matt, I've never seen a sports complex meeting minutes, Hartford area, whatever. Is it,
Do they
Is
get
it
turned
turned
into
in?
the city?
Yeah, they turn it.
they're turned in? Okay. All right, okay.
More money just in time for Christmas. You gotta wait till.
Can you find out when I don't even remember when that.
We can pull the minutes from
So if
their
you got the
meetings
minutes,
each
you
month,
just
and
use
then
that as a
it'll-
reference.
Because Because they say who attends, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll be able to.
Yeah, we got the attendance on it.
Move to call a vote.
All right, let's vote. Nelson?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Keel? Abstain. Monahan?
Yeah.
Brenneman?
Yes.
Jones?
I'm thinking
All right.
also.
All right.
Says Brenneman, who took me off the hook. Man.
All right.
Travis, hold on a minute, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind. Travis mentioned that Jeremy's been attending some of them too.
Yeah.
So is the mayor in a position to get paid for them if he wants, or does he need approval to get
If the
paid?
governing board approves it.
Well, you know how it used to work.
Yeah, I know how you use
You remember how it
it.
used to work.
At this point, he does not get paid either, so it has to be a council motion to pay.
You don't
Right.
know how it used to work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a motion that Jeremy gets paid for the Hartford area sports and rec meetings that he attended as well.
Second.
Retroactive to when Travis and Hart started going.
All right, well, I appreciate it, but I've attended very few regular Jones and Keel, so. And then won't break the bank, so.
Your time's worth as much as anybody else.
A motion and second, vote. Nelson?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah,
Brenneman?
Yep.
And Jones?
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
we're gonna have to do a supplemental appropriation for salary.
All
We're
right,
already doing a contingency.
anything
Now
else?
we're gonna have to get a lesser skid steer to pay for it. Instead of the John Deere.
Might have to be a case.
Here it comes.
Not a John Deere.
All right, let's discuss the surplus of city material, set the price and allow for advertising. This is for the dirt up there on 5 acres, is that right?
Clay dirt pile, so
Yes.
the big pile, the extra dirt that was generated from the sports complex grading. We will need some of it to build up the land where the maintenance shed's gonna be, and I talked to Mitch about that, so we will hold off what we need back from it. But, it'll still leave a lot of dirt there left, and so I talked with, Larry and Rob Fortin with the Department of Legislative Audit, see, if we wanna get rid of it, how we can get rid of it. I've had some inquiries if we're gonna sell it off or whatnot. And basically, the process is, we wanna sell off the material, we have to declare it surplus, set a price on it. They recommend, doing it by the cubic yard. And then advertise it twice, so it's fair to everybody out there, and then we can sell it off as a first come, first served basis if we want.
So we just say we want X amount and publish that twice?
I don't think you have to say the amount, yeah, what the price is you want, yeah, you're talking about price, I thought you were talking about quantity.
So it's not like we're asking them to tell us a price and we're doing a bid.
No.
We're
We're
gonna
gonna
set
set
a
a
price.
We're gonna set a price, yeah,
And we gotta put that in the paper twice?
and we gotta advertise it twice, yeah.
God, I love the government.
Yeah, they're all rules and regulations.
No, there's one pile of clay and one pile of black dirt, right?
It's kind of a mixture.
Kind of mixture. Is there a price difference there on the whole thing, or,
It's all the same.
it's all the same, that's fine, all right.
$3.
So when you were talking about setting some aside, you're talking the southwest corner of the complex, where we.
Yes, where we're gonna put our maintenance
Okay,
shed.
got it.
We wanna make sure we have the dirt we need, because we don't wanna go
Right.
buy dirt, yeah.
And then future use of dirt, anyplace else in the city?
For your projects?
Yeah, I mean, a year from now,
We've thought,
is there any way to prognosticate, hey, wait a second, dang, I wish we
I
wouldn't.
mean, you're gonna probably, like on Vandermark Avenue, you're gonna generate dirt, so you're
Okay.
probably gonna have to get rid of that dirt. I don't see any projects, any land that you guys have that is, you have a need for any fill.
Not right now.
Okay.
Okay. How would you like the motion treated?
Do we need to set an amount for a motion here?
A dollar amount, like somebody say they're gonna wanna surplus it, set a dollar amount, and
Yeah.
that's all I
You
need
guys
to
think
know.
of-
I don't know what it costs, I haven't bought dirt or too late for a
2 or
while.
3 is what they said.
Well, Craig did, yeah,
You
get
say it's
some
2 or
quotes.
3, but yeah, I mean, what do you think?
I think because I think you need to, I would say just let it go for $2 a yard, a square yard, or cubic yard. And then, but then also have it in there that they have to load themselves
Yeah,
and
for them
haul
to-
themselves, so that they don't expect us to bring a payloader down or load up dump truck.
I'll make
Brand new
a,
payloader.
I'll make a motion that we surplus the excess, is it blender and clay? Or just clay, or what is it?
It's a mixture.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make a motion that we surplus the excess dirt and clay and advertise it for sale for $2 a square yard, cubic yard, first come, first serve, and whoever wants it has to load it and haul it themselves.
Second. Oh, sorry. Did you want to add something?
Yeah,
Discussion, what were you thinking?
a timeline, like, we don't wanna be a storage facility either.
No, it's a good idea.
I mean, I would say if they come in and say that, speak that they want this much, we should probably, yeah, I think at that point you should say
I
if you
think
want.
you can, I think
20
you can tell them that when they come in and
Yeah, I
say,
think we can tell them that, you know, if you're gonna take that much, we can have it. I think we can
yeah,
do
you
that
got
in-house.
2 weeks from date of payment, or we're gonna sell it again.
Mhm.
That's fine, just, let's guide them what we expect, cause otherwise, I can just buy and let it sit there, you know, I don't want that to happen.
Well, yeah, we can buy it, don't move, we can sell it again.
Maybe we
That's
should.
what I'm saying, let's make sure they know that.
Let's not put,
See, we were kinda talking that if it's stayed there till next summer or whatever, then reduce the price and so we can get that lot cleaned up. I mean, you know, keep it at this price and just tell them, you know, come this date here, we're gonna resell it, you know.
Yeah.
Whether, you know, if it's in the spring, because they're not gonna get, it's not gonna get out of there.
We don't wanna
this fall.
micromanage.
I was gonna say, we're not in prime hauling season,
No.
right? It's gonna be froze solid here, really.
Some of these contractors may want this material for upcoming projects next spring and summer, so they may not be able to have a spot to take it to until that time. So I think we should at least, maybe through the summer, give it to, or let it be sitting
Yeah, I don't think
there.
we wanna have a real short window.
I don't know the 2 weeks, I just don't know if they'll have any other place to store it.
Whatever, I'm just throwing it out there.
But
You
yeah,
don't want them hauling 24 hours a day just to get out of there either, and you have people upset about that.
There'd be Jake breaking going on.
I think between
Yeah.
Craig and Teresa, you got a good feel
Midnight.
for what you think is gonna be reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's vote. Jones?
Yes.
Brenneman?
Yeah.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Keel?
What was the motion? How was the motion, Reed?
That was a good one.
Mark made the motion to, advertise for sale the excess clay and dirt at $2 per cubic yard on a first come, first served basis. At the stipulation, they must load and haul themselves.
Yes.
we gotta act that we declared
Oh,
surplus.
yeah, that was what it was, yeah,
And
surplus.
you wait till she polishes that, you wait till you read that tomorrow.
I
Yeah,
forgot to write surplus
but
down.
the word surplus is gonna be in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
surplus,
Yeah.
excess dirt
Okay.
and clay
Okay.
and advertise for
advertise
sale,
it.
yeah, I
Right.
forgot to write surplus.
Says right there, gotta say different surplus.
And Nelson.
Yes.
All right. All right, looks like we have rescheduled the January 1st council meeting.
Suggest Wednesday the 2nd.
We did second, 7 o'clock, that's a good
I'll
suggestion.
second that.
Is that a motion in a second?
It is.
It is.
All right. Any discussion?
Can't wait. I think I already have it on my calendar on the second.
There you go. Nelson?
Yes.
Johnson? Keel?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Brenneman?
Yep.
Jones?
Yep.
Are you gonna have this, the years, projected dates again sometime soon?
Pardon?
Years projected city council dates?
Oh, yep,
Usually we get them.
yep, I'll put those together in first part of December here, I'll
Okay.
get that done, yep.
That's-
As we get to correspondence, it reminds me, I was gonna write a letter for that, thank you for that grant, and I haven't done that, so I'll bubble down and get that done. Do we have any other correspondence to talk about? Okay. We have to go into executive session for legal and personnel, is that correct?
Personnel and economic development.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Economic development and whatever else.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
done, so we got some dates, right? Or whoever you're gonna, who you gonna send?
Dan,
Covered, economic development first.
Okay.
Yeah, first, keep Jesse in.
Jim,
and then we'll go
Gary.
into-
Yep.
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
The changes from parent.
Yeah.
Change names.
All right, cameras on.
Alright. Change names to protect the guilty.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we, Christmas bonus, each city employee, $200 in Hartford bucks.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Okay. What's Deckle longevity?
I'll make a motion to pay longevity pay, paid out at the end of December. Every year, $10 a year for years of service,
Yeah.
net pay. Is that what you said?
Sounds good. The end of December does not get us at the Christmas party this year. But if that's what you want it to be, that's what I'm asking.
Oh,
Because we're in November.
yeah, scratch that. Scratch that.
At the Christmas party?
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know.
By, how about by
Bye.
the end of December? How about that?
That's good.
Work.
That's better.
Yeah.
Do the best I can, I might have to work with.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Second to Johnson.
Does that make sense, Teresa?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, anybody need to hear that?
Yeah. Okay.
Do we want to clarify cash?
Oh.
I mean, we don't need to just because it's
Still
paid.
pay. We didn't.
Yeah, it's still paid.
Yeah, we
So
didn't.
we'll just, it'll go on their
Yeah,
payroll.
we didn't specify Hartford bucks, so. we just-
I did.
You
He did.
I did.
Mark,
Right.
That was for the Christmas.
Right.
Right, right,
Right, so
right.
if you just say $10, it's just, got it.
Yeah, I
We're
think we
okay on
just do that through payroll.
Right.
Yeah, we're okay.
All right.
Can you net it through payroll?
Yeah. we'll do this tax.
Yep.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening,